The Indianapolis Colts suffered an ugly loss to the Oakland Raiders in Week 4 of the NFL at home, 31-34. This is a game where you just didn't come out to play from the beginning. The Raiders just went down and scored easily on their first drive. The Colts weren't able to get anything going on the ensuing drive, kick it back off, and they go down and march and get a score just quick. And this is something that cannot be done in your home building. And this defense looks atrocious right now from all ends. They can't stop the run. They can't stop the pass. There are too many holes with this zone coverage that I've been talking about for the past several weeks that is just not working. Without Darius Leonard and Malik Hooker, there are definite holes, and this defense does not look good enough. They've looked a big step back from what they did in 2018 as the first half of this game, the first really 16 minutes where you gave up 21 points was atrocious. I mean, they were giving up everything possible, and Quincy Wilson especially just looked completely lost at corner. He wasn't the only one at the corner position that got beat today. Rock Yassin was in there. Pierre Desir did not really have a great game. Kenny Moore, I thought, had some shining moments, probably the best at corner today. But Quincy Wilson, horrible game from him, and kind of a bad start from his season, as you saw him get beat on a throw from Derek Carr on the right side of the end zone, and he didn't even know that the ball was coming, and just made it look too easy right on your Colts corner, who's a Ballard project from the 2017 draft. So this one had ugly all over it. I thought that the defense did a great job in the second half, just limiting them a little bit more. And I thought that they allowed the offense, the Raiders, to stay on the field a little bit too long. You've got to be able to put some stops together. And for the Colts, it just looks impossible. You see the Colts lining up. It's a 3rd down and 8 for the offense, and you're just saying, okay, they're gonna blitz, and somebody's going to come wide open over the middle, and you saw it too many times. The Colts were not able to get home on this pass rush, and for the second week in a row, after starting the year pretty well from a pass rush standpoint, you have seen it fall drastically, and the Colts are suffering from it, as Derek Carr was easily standing in the pocket and finding receivers open all over the field, and especially right over the middle of the field, where that's that cover 2, that's the weak spot in the center of the field. And I thought that Okereke, after a kind of a up and down game last game, he didn't look to have a very good game. He was missing angles on tackles, and looking back at it a little bit, he just was not in the right spots on the field, I don't think. But it's still growing for him, of course, as I still like him as a player, and he's had to step into a much bigger role than anticipated with Darius Leonard's injury, which was terrible. And T.Y. Hilton not on your offense. I mean, what can we say about Eric Ebron? He said after the game that was a shitty performance for him, and I think that is completely accurate on how he played. He had 3 really big drops there in I don't know if it was all in the first half, but the one on the sideline that was where he got hit kind of on the last second, that one was pretty bad. And then I wouldn't say that one was bad. You had a little bit of a kind of an excuse there, as he kind of took a hit at the end of that one. But the ones over the middle where it hits right in the hands, and he had some room to run and drops those balls, those inexcusable for a Pro Bowl tight end. And Eric Ebron, we've known from his Detroit days and even from last year, he has dealt with drops throughout his career. So not great from what you want to see out of Eric Ebron. He did have that big touchdown late in the game when it really didn't matter, but from him, that was a poor performance when you needed him and others to step up without T.Y. Hilton being in the ball game. So just all phases. I thought in the offense, Jacoby Brissett was not as sharp today as he's been. He finished the day with relatively decent numbers, and of course, the atrocious pick six in the fourth quarter as the Colts had a chance to go down and tie it with all three timeouts in over 2 minutes, and just throws on the left side of the field and doesn't even see the corner and pick six, and that was the ball game, and that was a heart stopper as the Colts had clawed their way back into the game where they did not even deserve to be in the game, and to just give it away like that was pretty terrible from a guy Brissett that doesn't turn the ball over very much. He did not need to throw the ball like that, and made a mistake, but that's what these games are all about, is learning from the mistakes. And I think that the Colts have a lot to learn from after this performance against Oakland this year. I think looking at this game, I hated the defense. The defense was terrible. I mean, they're getting a D minus F grade. I mean, the only reason I would say in the D is because they limited them to points in the second half. But and the offense, I mean, you weren't able to run the ball with Marlon Mack, who looked to be a little injured on there, but also you weren't able to get Jordan Wilkins or Naheem Hines free. And the offensive line just looked to get overworked today. And I thought that was a big surprise. Is I thought that a pro of the Colts today was going to be their ability to win the game up front, as you saw Dalvin Cook torch them last week as the Vikings easily won against the Raiders. So a horrible loss at home for the Colts as they fall to 2-2, and keeping right with the Texans, who also fell today to also 2-2. So that's going to be continue to be a tight run. This is a bad loss for the Colts, and something that needs to be an eye opener, as they probably came into this game with a little bit too much confidence, and that's what you were afraid of. They came out flat-footed and got punched in the mouth at home. So a horrible loss for the Colts, as they were easily favorites to win this one. And as you're going next week to play Kansas City on the road right before your bye, you wanted to get this one to get to 3-1 to have the possibility to drop the next game at Kansas City and fall to 3-2. Now you're not having that luxury, and now you're going to have to fight in Kansas City. They did look beatable today against the Detroit Lions, so we're going to see what happens in that game next week. But that's obviously all Colts fans know, especially after falling to the Raiders at home, that is less than likely to walk out of Arrowhead with a victory. And that's okay for this part of the season, because I think that the Colts still have a lot of growing up to do. I think that this defense is far from a defense that's going to win you any meaningful football games. They're looking bottom tier of the NFL as far as the numbers that they're giving up, and they're just getting beat from all ends. I think that the corners, especially everyone, all over the field, and defensive line not getting pressure, the corners just getting beat, the linebackers giving up runs and giving up over the middle passes. I thought that it just was all over a bad performance from the defense. Nobody on the defense to me had a good game. And, this is something that you're going to see Darius Leonard need to get back into this, hopefully from his concussion this week, as they just looked completely lost out there today, especially in that first half. And the offense has been able for the past couple of weeks, and especially last week, to kind of make up for the defense's, the defense's terrible play, but the offense wasn't able to overcome that, and they were also in just spurts where drop passes, and Jacoby Brissett was some throws where I think he'd like to have some of them back. I don't think it was necessarily a horrible game for Brissett, as there wasn't a whole lot for him there today, but the interception, of course, you can't have that, and that was completely on him. But I think this game, I think that if you had Andrew Luck and Andrew Luck healthy, he would have won you this football game, and that's just so tough to see because this offense was just sputtering without T.Y. Hilton, and nobody was getting open down the field, and it just was it was hard going for this offense, as no running game, and this passing game was just up and down today after such a great performance against the Falcons. So a lot for Brissett as he's still learning, and this is going to be a year's evaluating process for Brissett. You know, it's gonna he's gonna have his ups and his downs, and I thought that today was not his best day, of course, and he's gonna have to learn that as he had a chance, to tie this football game up late. He did finish. He was 24 of 46, 265 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception, and a lot of those yards came in late in the game when this game was kind of getting out of hand. So. Not what you like to see. Not like what you like to see from Marlon Mack. 11 carries for 39 yards. He is there might be dealing with some injury that's might be able to linger on, which we don't hope for, as we saw Jordan Wilkins and Naeem Hines struggled to get anything going today, and Zach Pascal was the leading receiver, 4 catches for 72 yards. So going into Kansas City. And I'm gonna make a podcast later this week. You've got to get your guys back on the field that are healthy. You're not gonna have Malik Hooker, you know that. You're gonna have to have Darius Leonard, T.Y. Hilton in this game to even have somewhat of a chance to come out and make it competitive. But this is a tough loss, and to fall 2-2. The Colts did start out the year last year 1-3, and they did start out 1-5. It still came back, but that was with Andrew Luck at the helm, and I can't emphasize that enough that you do not have him this year, and we are getting a young quarterback who is learning. So the expectations are curved that way, but a very, very tough loss for the Colts at home, and they're gonna have their hands full this week, as I will come out later this week with a more in-depth podcast breaking down the Chiefs game. Thank you guys for listening today to another Indianapolis Colts podcast. I hate to report that it was a loss today, but the Colts have the ability to bounce back, and they have, after this bye week, some very, very winnable games down the stretch for the rest of the year, and are going to be in control of their own destiny, as the Texans lost today and the Titans and Jaguars' inconsistent play continue to shift this AFC South. So we're going to see what happens here, but today the Colts had an opportunity to get ahead and get a nice 3-1 start in the first quarter of the season, and they didn't do that and fell flat 2-2 to the Oakland Raiders. Thank you so much for listening. I'm going to come back with another podcast on Wednesday or Thursday. Make sure you're looking for that, and have a good rest of your week.